Let's go boom.
Welcome to the IMTS Plus Creators Lounge. I am so excited to have a good friend in business, in industry, Christina Fugis. Welcome.
Thank you. I actually am honored. I'm a little nervous and excited. I don't know.
What?
I know. I am.
Well, you know, like we're being mic'd out to the floor too, just to make you a little bit more nervous.
Okay, great.
So we're gonna have fun.
They're nodding
so
their
look,
heads.
we have some
like,
smiles
yes.
out there. I see some
Okay.
smiles looking in.
Nod your head if you think my voice is sexy.
Holla, holla.
No
I saw
nods,
some.
no
Oh, you have a
nods.
fan.
I
Oh,
got
there's a
I
nod.
got a nod.
You know, on that note, you know, Christina, like you are the face of mold making in my mind.
I
MoldMaking
appreciate
Technology, the magazine. And I wanted to reach out to you because we met, you know, through podcasting, through
Yep.
as a creator.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember the topic, but it was women telling the stories of manufacturing.
Of course, I remember the topic.
So it was, you know, almost shed a tear with you a little bit, heard your background story, and it was really touching. And I always felt like coming out of that, like we were just gonna be friends in industry, like
Forever.
yeah, for as long as we go, you know. So it's just great to have you here.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. So this time we've been focused on lifting up people who are telling the stories of manufacturing overall. And the big fundamental question we've been looking at is, what's your manufacturing story? Sound familiar?
Yes.
And one of the things we've been doing, and we've been doing it very intentionally, is to represent, you know, the difference of when you started and I started to where manufacturing is today. And part of the IMTS Plus Creators Lounge is celebrating, honoring, and bringing in a diverse group of people, but especially women in manufacturing. So we have Charlie Matthews, Empowering Industry. She does Empowering Industry Conference for women in manufacturing. And Megan Ziemba, who focuses on a lot of issues, but also elevates women in manufacturing as a core focus with mavens of manufacturing.
Yeah.
So
There's so many, actually.
I know, but I see you as someone, as you know, someone like in that same position, and you've shared your story. So as you like, it was COVID. I think when we did our podcast together. And now we're here on the other side.
Yep.
So as you look at IMTS that's today and what you've experienced out there through whatever lenses you have, what do you see that's different having been here a few days?
From 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, everybody missed each other. I mean, technology-wise is one thing. Automation is everywhere, right? You can't go down any aisle without seeing it. But it's more relationship. My managing editor, Grace Nels, is here with us. And we talk about this a lot this week. It keeps coming up, and you can't get away from it. It's people that make up manufacturing. They're the ones that have the stories. But and maybe people are getting tired of saying that people just wanted to get together. But it is really, this is where it all starts. You're not going to buy a machine. You're not going to invest in all this stuff if you don't trust the person, which means you have to have a relationship. So that's what was missing for the 4 years, really. And that's what's happening on the show floor.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I just realized, you know, and following up on that, is that you want to know, like, and trust who you work with. It's not just the technology, but it's the service.
Yep. Yes.
And you have to be of service to each other, and you know, people do business with other people.
Yep.
And that's just so, you know, so important. I see there's this resolution to come back that you just sense in people.
Yep.
People are smiling.
It's bustling.
It's so bustling, and you wouldn't even know, you know, where we've been. It does not look like
I know, you can almost forget.
It's literally, and people are happy, and it's just,
I love
just
it.
amazing.
I love it. I mean, when you stand up on that stage or the grand concourse, and you're looking down, it's just that I love it. It's that sea of people that we wanted to see, right?
I know.
It's been too long.
I feel like this is a moment where we have that resolve to say, okay,
Let's get back to business.
Let's get back to business.
And that's another thing I was saying. I'm noticing, I mean, I always love this show because it is bustling and there's so much going on, but it's definitely people are here to do business. So, and I'm hearing that over and over again during our booth visits, that people are coming up, they're ready. They're asking serious questions. They're coming up with direct problems. Help me solve this. I'm ready to invest. Buying machines on the floor. It's happening.
I'm so excited. And just to get back to seeing the people that, you know, you have relationships with, and you've also been keeping the conversation going. So for those of you on the live stream, on the floor, if you are anywhere near the mold making technology industry, you will have seen that there's certain people who've been really keeping the light on and who've been keeping out there. So Christina, you're an influencer. You've been producing shows and videos,
maybe too much,
and podcasts. How could you though? How could you do it too much? So,
I guess.
So tell me about that journey since then, because you were really early on, you know, putting out content, but then you were outpacing me. Like you're outpacing a lot of folks. So tell me like about that point to now, you know, what's your journey been like as someone telling the story as a creator?
Okay. So you nailed it. It did all start with COVID. It's very interesting from a trade media position that when that hit, you couldn't travel. You had to still be out there. You had to still cover the industry. But on top of that, all manufacturing, but I'm going to speak particularly of mold making, the light was shown right on mold making because they were doing amazing things to combat COVID, right? They were doing things in days that usually take weeks to get the ventilator, respirator parts. So it was an easy way. There were so many stories to tell, and it was the only way to tell them quickly. And this is coming from someone that I didn't really want to embrace social media right away or video, believe it or not. But the quickest way to do it was video. And surprisingly, the industry surprised me because they so easily were comfortable with that. And it was like GoToMeeting or Zoom, jumping on there, recording it and telling me your story. But they had no problem. They were so proud of their teams. So it was like the owners of these shops talking about how their teams and customers and their vendors came together to do all these things in record time at the same quality, you know, doing life-saving things that we all respect now more than we ever did because we needed that stuff. So that's how it started. And then it caught on. People were calling, I have a story. I want to showcase my team. So it became really easy. I ended up having so many to tell. And then once COVID started settling down, it just became natural. I'm going to keep this going. This is an excellent way to be out there without having to be out there when things were still a little iffy about getting back on a plane or getting back on the road or people accepting you into their shops. So it was just a natural progression, but I actually love it. I love it. And I think one tip I would say to some people, because shops can do this themselves, just don't overthink it. Just turn on that phone or turn on your computer camera, get a customer on the line and just talk. Hey, Zero Tolerance, I see you out there.
Hey, Zero Tolerance.
Hey, Steve. That's one of our guys.
That's it.
I just did an MMT chat with him and he just walked past the studio. Incredible.
Serendipity at IMTS.
That is incredible. Zero Tolerance rocks.
Well, exactly. And these are the niche stories that you can tell and give a platform because someplace, someone cares about it. And really effectively, what you've been doing is giving people a platform to tell their manufacturing story.
Yeah.
And that's the heart and spirit of what this whole thing is all about.
Oh, I got a better thing. Grace, you reminded me to say this. Last night.
Hey, everybody, can we get some angles on Grace?
Yes.
Oh,
Smile pretty.
No, you're going to be on it. You're famous now, Grace. Sorry. Okay.
We had a little tiny event for just some of the mold builders that were here. And we got them together at the flight deck last night. And one of the shops came up to me, a company called Intralux, and it was about 6 of them. And they said, hey, we watched one of your MMT chats and our boss brought us into the conference room. It was one of the ones on 5 best practices in 5 minutes. And they actually like watched it together. I'm like, done. That's all I needed to hear. Like, it's working because someone else was sharing their stories. They like, passed it on.
So we have little time. So I want to make sure that we give you a platform to tell everybody, how do we find your show? Where do we find it? Where do we follow? Where do we become fanboys and girls?
All right. MoldMakingTechnology.com. That brand is on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, where else? YouTube, our YouTube channel. But if you go to MoldMakingTechnology.com, all the content's there. The MMT chats are on there, but you go to YouTube. They're all, tons of videos are on there. And anybody out there, I welcome you to reach out to me, because if you have a story to tell within mold making, I would love to help you tell your story. And it's just like this. It's casual.
Exactly. And anyone watching this, whether you have it, like it, share it, and think about that. It's that easy. It's as simple as pressing record, hitting send, and being your true self.
Yep.
And one of the things that also you do, right, is you create a relationship, even though they haven't met you. And what I can, like what my testimony is here. What's my testimony? My testimony is, it is like the fact that every time I see one of the mold making technology videos that you've done, and I've seen them, now I haven't watched every one of them, but I smile, and I get to see my friend.
Oh, I love that.
And it's so good to see you, hear you, and the passion that you bring, Christina, really reflects well. And we've talked about how it inspires other folks. And just one last question, as you think about what you've been doing, we had these conversations about, you going up for awards and people recognizing it and empathizing with you and seeing themselves in you. Have you had any experiences now in mold making, technology and as a creator with the content, where people have come up and recognized that work? And, because, you've had some really good moments, and
people are thankful. They're thankful for the platform. And I'll never forget when we started the magazine, the brand in general, and I think it stands for the MMT chats too, that the brand legitimized mold making. And a mold builder told me that never before was that part of manufacturing recognized. And by having its own magazine, its own trade show, and now I'm thinking about it, now it's more than that, its own social media channels, all dedicated to what they do, that just sticks with me, because that's what we're here to do. It's a very important sect of manufacturing that does stand on its own. And they're thankful. They're constantly grateful. I could cry because I could go over the moon about it's literally a community. And taking someone like me that knows nothing, from being a 26-year-old back then, embraced me like I was one of their own. Still to this, it's a family, it's a community. They're all there for each other, and that's it. Great gratefulness, thankfulness.
I just don't think it gets any better than that. And what ultimately that comes is a community. You identify as a mold maker.
Yep.
So
I know, I feel like I am one, and I'm nowhere near one.
But you are. There are mold makers that are marketers in the business. There's mold makers who are getting the word out and telling the stories. There are mold makers who are the engineers and the folks literally, running the technology itself. So, and by definition, an industrial is by definition is someone engaged in industry. And we encourage people to be pride, have that pride, but not be prideful in it. So as the number one mold making technology advocate, mold maker, Christina Fuges, I want to thank you for joining us in the IMTS Plus Creators Lounge. Thank you for what you do for manufacturing. And
it's a privilege. It's an honor.
It's a privilege to
now
be your friend in business. So I appreciate you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.